The first step of creating my animated banner is that I've got this document here. Just zoom in. So Control plus zooms in, Control minus zooms out. And the shortcuts are what are going to give you speed of execution. And you can see up here, you can see the zoom value. So more than anything else, I think if you have a speed of execution, then you can start working immediately and pick up design ideas as you work in a team. You can pick up principles of color, layout, and so on and so forth. So while I'm at this, let me introduce to you the color principles. If you look at Color Scheme Designer, so you can look at the many color scheme designers. So the principles of color are, there's a monochromatic scheme which says that you pick up any color and then the remaining colors should be shades, darker or lighter shades of that color. After that, you have colors which are similar, that you pick up one color and the remaining colors are the neighbors of it, known as the adjacent color scheme. So if you pick up blue, you can use the adjacent colors. There's a complementary or a split complementary scheme as well. So what the complementary scheme says that if you pick up one color from one side of the color wheel, the other color should be from the opposite side, or you can take the opposite neighboring colors. Now, things like these also give you, I think you can go and somewhere click on an example. So if you were to use this color scheme and apply it onto a website, how would it look? So people don't take out colors from their pockets randomly. They use the science, they use a particular scheme. It's tried and tested science that our eyes respond well to such schemes which follow the rules of the color wheel. Anyway, I'll go back to my Photoshop and just make my simple banner. And you can see blue and orange of QAT actually sit on opposite sides of the color wheel. I'm just going to fill this with a foreground color. I'm going to make two more layers. So that's I'm just going to call it BG. The next layer, I'm just creating grounds for an animation. So I'm just going to make a triangle, the square, fill it with some color from the opposite end of the color wheel, edit, fill, foreground color. I'm just going to knock off the middle. Oh, that should have been on a different layer. So I should come on the top layer, edit, fill. So I'm making them on different layers. Okay, just bear in mind I'm making these on different layers. And even this fellow, I'm going to take it and put it on a different layer. If you press the move button, V is the shortcut, and you nudge it with arrows, you select the bit you want. I'm going to cut it and paste it. Whenever you cut and paste something, it by default goes into the middle. I'm going to give this second piece a different color. One way to do it is image, adjustment, hue saturation. There are many ways of doing it. Can I finish first and then you guys talk? I mean, if you don't want to pay attention and you know it all, great, happy for you. So I've got these two pieces which I'm going to animate. What's going to happen is I'm going to animate them coming from different sides. Yeah? And I'm just going to type something here, After Effects Motion Demo. I'm just going to try a decent font. these serifs will actually not work too well on videos and Interlist screens. So I might change it up to something like sans serif. It's important to have a good collection of fonts. You can't install fonts on these computers, but at home definitely try and have a good collection of fonts. Really important. So I'll press on the text, come back to the color, and just give it a nice bright blue color here. So After Effects Motion Graphics demo. What my goal here is to keyframe all of this and create an animation with this. So let's see how we do it. I'm going to save this. After Effects demo, okay? So I've saved a PSD, After Effects demo. See the number of layers I have? I have 4 layers. Each of these layers I will animate very easily. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to open After Effects. So both of these are very elementary, basic ways of animating. One is motion graphics, one is frame by frame animation. So once you understand the mechanics of it, the rest is design, skill, creativity, the rest is story. So Disney is not about being able to animate. Like when Walt Disney came on the scene, there were millions of animators across America. It was about the creativity, it was about the characters, it was about the humor. When you see television ads here, when you see motion graphics, it's all about the finish. You can see After Effects here has got this glitter, the glow. So when you see logos tumbling in the air, it's all about the way in which they tumble, the impact they have on the viewers. I might close Photoshop. Just so that I can free up some memory for Adobe. Now I've opened up Adobe After Effects. Now Adobe After Effects, a composition is something that you create by by layers. You put one thing over another and you compose. You create a composition. You compose layers. I'm going to create a 5-second, 25 frames per second PAL composition. But what I can do also is, I don't need to create one. I can say File, Import, File, and I'm going to import my After Effects demo file. And it's very important that I should say import as a composition. I should import it as a composition. That will retain the layers. I can even retain the layer sizes. Sometimes you can have a bigger layer. That means the layer size is bigger than the document size because you want to move it across the screen. So you can have a massive background. If you don't say retain layer size, it will crop it. In my case, everything is in the frame. So I'll just say composition and import it. Now you can retain the layer styles or you can merge the layer styles. Layer styles are shadows, bevels, glows. Anyway, I've merged it. If I double click on this composition, see that's the composition. I've got my layers 1, 2, 3, 4 and the background layer. So these are the layers I created. Let's animate them. So that's a 5-second animation there. You can see that. Because the first composition I created was 5 seconds. Now that's all I have. So let's plan it. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 second hold. Okay. So let's hold it. I'm going to start with, let me start with these two text layers, okay. No, change my mind. I'll start with these two shapes. Sorry? So I'm going to start with this shape here. This is the shape. Now, how do I start animating? You see the stopwatch. If I click on the stopwatch, I get a keyframe. That means I've just locked a keyframe here. And at the end of 1 second, if I click on this diamond shape, it gives me another keyframe. So I got a keyframe here, keyframe here. At the first keyframe, I'm going to move this one up. So what happens? I've got that motion there. Can you see that? I've just created an animation there from top to bottom. I'm done with that layer. I'm going to come to the second layer, do the same thing. I click on the clock position. You can animate scale, you can animate rotation, you can do whatever you want with that. Now in the first position, I bring it down and it locks a keyframe. So now I have these two pieces coming up within 1 second. I'll come to the text. So the text I'm going to sort of animate as well within 1 second. But when it comes to the starting point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to not only move it up, I'm also going to scale it up. Now there's a link here, which means that if the link is on, it will scale up in X and Y equally. But if I remove the link, I can scale it only in Y. See that? I can scale it in Y. And I can also, so I can give the scale a keyframe and I'll give its opacity a keyframe. And when I come to this frame here, my scale will be 100 and my opacity will be 100. So from 0 opacity to 100 opacity, and you can see that stretch. So After Effects, that's one layer. And then this one, I'll just do a simple motion. So I'll just do a position here. I click on the clock to give it a keyframe, and I click on the diamond to give it another keyframe. So I come to this point here, and I'm going to move it down. So I have that going up. So what I have here is, when I play it, if I go to preview and I play it, so that's my animation. So I've shown you how to create keyframes. I've shown you how to adjust motion, scale, opacity. You could spend a lifetime with this software. There's so much you can do with it. But at the very basics, if you have your layout, which we made in Photoshop, you can come and keyframe it. Finally, when you're done, File, Export. I'm just going to add it to a render queue. I always go best settings. I'll leave it as AVI. Let me go to Format Options. Actually, if I go to AVI, do I have a codec? H264. I'll go to PAL. So from Adobe Premiere Pro, you get a lot more options to export it into straight formats for YouTube uploads. I'll just stick with an AVI DVPAL here. and I will export it. I don't have audio in this. I can resize it. I normally don't like huge file sizes, but this is 5 seconds, so I'll leave it. That's the same video format we chose. Audio off because I don't have audio. I'm going to say OK, and when I hit render, let me see where it is saving it. So it is saving it in 2D cluster, After Effects demo, save, render. So a simple way to keyframe a very simple graphic that follows the rules of color and a very simple animation. So the animation has been rendered. Let's see what it looks like. That's the motion. So I've shown you 2 simple ways to create 2D animation. Now if you build on this